Welcome back everybody to Forza Horizon 5, and we're once again in Street A-Class Racing Online, but this time we're dealing with the 2007 Alfa Romeo 8C Competizione. So yeah, this has been added via the festival playlist for the current season, so it's 40 points to get it, so obviously that's quite a lot of points. You spend a fair bit of time getting those points, but trust me, this car is well worth getting it, stock or otherwise, as yeah, it's a fantastic sports car. Easily one of my favourites from the 2000s, maybe even my absolute favourite, all said and counted. So yeah, let's see what we can do in this third and final race in this lobby. I've come second in the previous two races, just to get used to what this car is capable of, so let's see if we can do any better this one, and maybe even better in the next three races in the new lobby. So yeah, this wasn't the most powerful of cars in terms of sports cars back in the day, 16 years ago, but it's still a brilliant car regardless. I found that it's buttery smooth in this version that I've upgraded. Cars everywhere. Sandwiched between two of them. It's getting a bit hectic. So as you probably can hear, it's got a V8. It's now a 5 litre V8 over the 4.7 that it had originally. I think it's the same engine used in the Maserati Gran Turismo. That's also on this game. It sounds like it if it isn't. A bit of understeering to that truck there. Yeah, give it those few extra 100cc, just give it a little bit of extra power. Not that it really needed it, but wanted to take advantage of the slight reduction in weight that we had going on. So yeah, not done as well this time round. That race was a lot more frantic than the previous two that I was in, which were quite sedate and reasonably competitive, whereas there it's turned into a bit of a slugfest in a couple of corners there, but still 4th place is still top 5. Not sure if that will give us enough points to win the championship though, but regardless, I've been really enjoying driving this Alfa Romeo, which like I said is easily one of my favourite sports cars going. So yeah, just 2 points off 1st place, but still good showing from the Alfa there, given that's only my 3rd race in this car. So yeah, it's like I said, got a 5 litre V8 now over the 4.7 that it had originally, which, you know, isn't a huge engine by any means, stock or otherwise, but it's still decent enough, and yeah, certainly bigger than a lot of engines you're going to be coming up against in these races. So yeah, let's take a look at the stats before we jump into the next 3 races on this new lobby that is loading in. So let's drop in, literally. Come on, there we go. So yes, we've got 7.1 on the speed and 7 on the braking, which are both really rather good. The launch is decent and the handling is fairly good as well, especially given the kind of power it's got and the fact it's really rather quite balanced, as you can see. 49% front, 51% rear, which is really good. Means that you're not going to have too much of understeer or too much oversteer in either kind of respect. And acceleration is decent. It's only marginally quicker though than it was standard. You're talking less than 0.2 of a second quicker to 60 and just under 0.3 of a second quicker to 100. But you know, that is still quicker, and yeah, it's hardly a slouch in stock form anyway. So yeah, just marginal increases in upgrades, because I unfortunately only had about 45 PI to play with, which isn't a great deal at all. So yeah, I had to really pick and choose what I wanted out of this car, and I more prioritised handling and braking in this than, you know, pure power. But at the end of the day, it does now have 465 horsepower and 366 pounds-feet of torque, so that's 15 horsepower extra than stock and 12 extra pounds-feet of torque. So again, not massive difference, but it certainly gives it a little bit of an edge in terms of its acceleration over the standard car. So yeah, it's only got that extra power and torque from the increase in the engine block. no other upgrades into the engine whatsoever outside of that, so oh, for God's sake. Well, there's nothing I could do about that. The truck was coming at me one way or another. I'd race that Ford Bronco on street racing, but never mind, giving me the 4th position. See if we can at least improve on our previous race. If you can hear a slight whine, then that is the race transmission that I've given this car. Not that the original gearbox was awful or anything, but it gives me a slightly better launch off the line, which, you know, I'm going to need in every kind of respect, given it is only rear-wheel drive. Yeah, that whine is not something you have to deal with in a standard form, so if it's annoying you, then yeah, don't worry about it. It's not something you're going to have to listen to every day when you're driving this in stock form, or if you upgrade it in a different manner. Two Alphas competing for 3rd place here. Already driven the Quadrifoglio in previous online lobby video that we did. Damn AI traffic getting in the way there. Oh, that scooter's right up for all those corners. Out to the Mazda there, but someone else has gone off, so we've still got 4th place regardless, I think, unless both of them went off in front of us. Let's see. Yes, they did. So yeah, would have gotten 2nd had we not screwed up with the AI traffic putting us out of position for the corners, but still, a podium position is a podium position at the end of the day, and it is yeah, a good solid position for this start of this championship. So yeah, pleased enough with that. So yeah, there we go. Nice decent start to the championship with those 14 points that we'll get. There we go. So yeah, we've got the Mazda RX-8 and the Toyota GR86 ahead of us. Two really rather good sports cars, especially in terms of modern sports cars that are, you know, not overly powerful but powerful enough. So yeah, we now weigh 3,371 pounds with this vehicle, which is 124 pounds less than standard. Now, obviously that is still quite a lot for a sports car, but at the end of the day this is a mix of sports car and Grand Tourer in a lot of ways. Less so in terms of Grand Tourer than say the Maserati Gran Turismo that this shares the same engine with, but it still does have Grand Tourer elements to it, particularly the weight of the car, and yeah, it's hardly a small car as well. But yeah, I love the look of this vehicle. I love the fact it's got a V8 and it's rear-wheel drive. It's not something that Alfa Romeo are really, you know, overly familiar with, V8 engines. I know the 3.3 Stradale from the 60s had a V8 as well, but that was a very small 2-litre V8, and that was a very rare low production vehicle. So yeah, I'm really not sure if they've done many other V8s. There was the Alfa Romeo Montreal from the 70s, but again that had a small cubic capacity V8. And then I don't really know of any other V8s up until this car came out. Maybe they didn't do one, I'm not sure. If they did, I'd like to know what it is. Ooh, slightly bumped the Alfa there. Sandwiched in between a Lexus and an Alfa Romeo. Lexus just really backed off there. If he was worried about missing the checkpoint, he'd rather back off and not miss it than try and squeeze in and risk missing it, which he did. So yeah, got no benefit there for him. Oh, Mazda went into the pause menu for some reason. Once again, me and the fellow Alfa are battling for 3rd place. that slightly wider outside line. Whoa! Nearly went off the bridge there. I do hate the fact that in this game the bridge guardrails are destructible in racing, because not only is it risking you going off, but it can also be, you know, people that are trying to bash other people in the races. They can take advantage of that and try and smash you off onto the off the bridge, which has happened to me several times, and it's no fun. Where that car was going. BMW M6, I think it is. V8 powered car, not rear wheel drive like we are. It's got all wheel drive and probably a little bit more in the way of torque with those turbochargers on it. Not an overly torquey kind of V8 engine in this. Far more high revving, far more European in terms of a V8 than your big old American things. Inside line from the lorry there, and we're past the BMW to get a second place. Yay! Much braver line on our part, because we could have understeered slightly wide and hit the corner of that lorry. But luckily we just grazed it ever so slightly. But that Toyota once again in first place, well ahead of us. But regardless, that second place does jump us into second for the championship overall. So hopefully we can maintain second place. I doubt, unless the Toyota comes last, that that's going to drop any further back from first place overall. But yeah, I'll be happy with second. And yeah, 0 to 60 is now dealt with in 4.155 seconds, and 0 to 100 in 9.037 seconds, and it will go into a top speed of 195 miles an hour, which is fairly decent. But like I said, only marginal improvements in terms of acceleration, and it's only got about 2 mile an hour extra over the original car on the top end. So yeah, not massively different, but it's got grippier tyres on this car. It's got lowered suspension, race brakes. The tyres are also wider as well as being grippier, and also it weighs less as well. So, and I think the flywheel is a race flywheel as well, just to make the engine rev a little bit freer. So by no means massive changes, you know, not engine swapped it or all-wheel drive the drivetrain or anything like that. Just marginal increases just to make it that bit better. And I do really enjoy driving this car in this from home. It's buttery smooth. It's very rarely put a foot wrong. If anything, it's me that's putting the foot wrong more than it will be. And the outside of the BMW there. It's only a marginal amount of understeer. It's manageable enough, especially since the rear end is so well balanced and grippy. Only ever really loses grip when it's, you know, you're flooring it out of a slow corner. And the V8 in this really does pull like a train. Might not have all that much in the way of torque, but at the end of the day you can't argue with 465 horsepower in a car. It doesn't weigh all that much. I don't know if you can hear that, but that is my cat meowing to get out. Luckily we're nearly finished. Only racing people on this lobby now, but I'm racing my cat. I think we've got second here. That Toyota has flown off. And what was done to that, outside of putting a rocket in it. there we go. Second place. Yeah, no AI traffic to get in the way. I'm just going to breeze into the finish line at 171 miles an hour. So yeah, there we go. I really enjoy that car. It's so nice to drive, stock or in this upgraded form that I've done. But I'm sure you can upgrade it in other ways to make it maybe even more competitive in A-Class, and who knows, maybe in a higher class it will be even better. But I enjoy it in A-Class, I enjoy it in its stock form, and yeah, at the end of the day, it sounds good, looks great, and drives really nicely as well. So yeah, can't really ask for more of that, quite frankly. So yeah, we got second place again, so that will give us 46, I think it will be, points. Yes, so 8 points ahead of the BMW and 12 points ahead of the fellow Alfa Romeo, and well ahead of the Lexus, but still 14 behind the Toyota. But that was to be expected with how fast that was going, and far ahead of it was against us. So yeah, but nonetheless, thank you for watching, and I'll see you with the next one. Bye.